All right, Rebbe, say good morning. Good morning. Let us begin. We have a few minutes. We're going to try to get a little bit of an earlier start on the daf this morning as well. We'll try to get in the Meretz. Not try. We will. The Meretz Hashem get in a couple of beautiful minutes with Reb Tzaddik. So remember again, the Rebbe introduced us yesterday in the beginning of Aleph, the concept that the initiating point, right, the entry into Avodas Hashem has to be b'chipazon. Has to be with haste. So what does this mean? So he writes over here, supposed to say, we're still on page Aleph. Yeah, yes, we are still on page Aleph. In the section, all right, thank you so much. In the section titled Be'urei Chasidus, on the left-hand column. Thank you, it's perfect, thank you so much. In Be'urei Chasidus on the left-hand column. So there the Rebbe says, Reishis tchilas ha'adam la'avodas Hashem tzarech lios dafka b'chipazon. The initiation of a person into his avodas Hashem. Remember again, we spoke about yesterday the idea that the first part of our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu is being an eved, is being a servant, obedience. So that avdos has to be initiated b'chipazon u'b'mechirus, with haste. With haste. Now he gives over here in the Be'urei Chasidus an example. Kigon, hashakua b'tavas ha'achila. For example, if someone is consumed by the desire to eat, that's a person's taiva. His taiva is to eat. Kodem kol alav lifrosh legamri mima'adanim yiserim. He has to go ahead, if he wants to break this taiva, if he wants to break this desire, so what he has to do is he has to make a complete break with something. So let's say for a second, we'll say, so just use it as an example. So a person struggles with taivas achila. He can't get enough of eating. So how do you break that taiva? How do you break it? So the Rebbe says the way to break any taiva is b'mechirus, which means you have to do something quickly and decisively. Now, you don't have to do everything at once, but you do have to go ahead and engage in some type of behavior to break this taiva, and you have to do it now. In other words, we'll say, what is the Rebbe talking about? A lot of times in life, when we want to confront a life issue, right? I want to confront a problem that I'm having, a challenge that I'm having. So what's the challenge in confronting your challenges? The challenge in confronting your challenges is we tend to spend a lot of time on the confrontational stage, and tend not to put enough emphasis on the actional stage. So now, okay, I know I have the problem I'm going to tackle. Let me devise a plan. So now we have the plan. Well, the plan, okay, let me write down the plan. Let's put an appendix to the plan. Let's get in the committee to review the plan. Right then, let's get a review on the committee to review the plan. Let me think a little bit more, and that doesn't work. And meanwhile, all of this time goes by and I've done nothing. So the Rebbe says, if you want to affect change in your life, and this is what he's saying, the most important thing is chipazon, haste. The moment you decide something has to get done, then what? We'll say what? Do it. Now again, you don't have to do everything. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to affect comprehensive change in every single way to tackle the entire issue. But once you've decided that change has to occur, do not wait to begin the process of change. It could be a small baby step in that direction, but that's what chipazon is. If you're going to do it, get it done. We'll say, remember again, we had this in Chovos HaLevavos. Truth is, we actually had it in every single sefer that we learned. We had it in Mesilas Yesharim as well. That the moment a person decides they're going to change, the way the Yetzer Hara tries to kick in and prevent that change from happening is through postponement, right? Through delay. So just get people to delay things enough time and they're not going to do it. That's why the key to effective life change, Reb Tzaddik says, is chipazon. Whatever you're going to do it now. Do it now. Don't wait. Could be something small, but do it now. He goes on, he says, so let's say, to use his example, a person has a challenge with food. So what happens? He decides, you know what, I need to affect change. So what's going to be his change? You know what, I'm not eating dessert. I'm just giving the example, right? That's going to be where I draw the line. For me, that's where I have to start with my struggle with food. I'm not eating dessert. Okay, when does that start? So now I think, the truth is, I have a chasana tomorrow night, right? And then it's almost Shabbos, and then after that it's going to be 3-day Yamim Tovim. So I think Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan would be a great time to be able to start this. The Rebbe says it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. If you want to affect change, change has to be done b'chipazon, change has to be done with haste, and you got to start now. Even if you think in the back of your mind, well, this is not going to hold. That's okay. That's okay. No one can make any guarantees about the future, but get started with your journey of change now. He goes on, he says, This is it. We saw Klal Yisrael ate Karban Pesach, and how did they eat it? With haste. B'chipazon. As the pasuk says, "Va'achaltem also b'chipazon." You shall eat the Karban Pesach with haste. V'atam. So I'll say, why is that? V'atam shenitztavi Yisrael la'achlo davka b'chipazon mihirus. Hu mitnei shemitzvah zu haisa mitzvah rishona shenitztava b'Yisrael. Remember, Karban Pesach was the first mitzvah we were commanded to perform as a people. That was our first national mitzvah. So we'll say, this is very interesting. If you notice, the Ran in Pesachim goes through a list of differences between Pesach Mitzrayim, the first Paschal Lamb, and Pesach Doros, Pesach for future generations. And there's a number of distinctions. One of the most fascinating distinctions is chipazon. In Mitzrayim, we spoke about this yesterday. How did you eat your Karban Pesach? You had your walking staff in your hand. You had your shoes on. You had your loins girded. Thank you for the definition. Thank you. Right, your loins girded. Right, I understand girded. The loins part is a little bit more complicated to figure into that. Right. So but the point is, it means ready. Right, it means ready. Right. So in other words, but yet in the future by Pesach Doros, that was not a concept. It's fascinating. That was not a concept. That's not an obligation. So why is that? Why is there an obligation of chipazon by Pesach Mitzrayim and no obligation of chipazon by Pesach Doros? So the Rebbe says, Kilomar tchilas brichas ha'adam mitavas gufo hikemo habricha shebarchu yisrael mishiv Mitzrayim. Because I will say, what Pesach Mitzrayim really represents is the paradigm of change. When we left with Mitzrayim, from Mitzrayim, so that represented a fundamental, cathartic, comprehensive, individual and national change. We were literally going from one state to another. And the Ribono Shel Olam was modeling for us the ultimate, again, the framework of change. How does change occur? Change occurs b'chipazon. Change occurs with haste. Now again, I want to be clear. The Rebbe is not suggesting that complete change has to occur with haste. That's not what he's saying at all. What he's saying is, but change, some element of change must begin with haste. If you want to change something in yourself, and you don't do something immediately, some small step immediately, the Rebbe says chances are the change is not going to happen. Because then you get into the process of delay. We know this. So we don't. The truth is, I don't need the Tzidkas HaTzaddik to tell me this. Right? This is the story of my life. Right? How many times have I attempted to change something, and I spoke about it, and I thought about it, but I didn't do anything. So by the time that I finally got around to it, I already lost the desire to do it. If you want to affect change in something, change has to happen b'chipazon. Some element, that for some small step has to happen quickly, has to happen right now. And that's why Pesach Mitzrayim, right? Yetzias Mitzrayim, which represents the ultimate model of change. The ultimate model of change. That first Pesach had to be consumed b'chipazon, setting for us the paradigm that when you want to affect change in your life, you must take a first step, even a small one, even if it's not going to last, and you got to take it quickly. Because if you don't initiate the process of change now, if you don't strike while the iron is hot, it's not going to happen. He goes on. All right, but you know what? We're going to stop over here. We'll stop over here for today. All right, good. We got through that first paragraph. Still in Aleph, still on the first page. But again, a little bit further down on the page. It's not. What is it? It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. All right. We'll say shkoyach. Now again, much more development of this concept of chipazon next week. Shkoyach.